Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the very, very best TRPG new core rulebook, not a source book, that was released in the second week of May 2019, and that game is Entromancy RPG. So Entromancy is really, really unique. It was created by MS Farzan. It's 131 pages, and it is an incredibly unique product. It is a cyberpunk fantasy tabletop role-playing game. To my knowledge, there is really only one other significant cyberpunk fantasy tabletop role-playing game, and that is Shadowrun. So Entromancy goes directly into direct competition with Shadowrun, and it has its, but unlike being just a kind of a copy, it really is its own unique thing, right? So the game really focuses on spellcasting, espionage, hacking, and action, right? Now, a good bit of that does overlap with Shadowrun, but one of the things is it has its, this game has its own unique faction settings, and it has its own unique character classes, and it has its own unique races as well, and it has its own unique world setting. So this is a really interesting entry into the tabletop role-playing game industry as a whole, because the reality is, for decades, I think Shadowrun really stood peerless, right? There were a few people that, I think there were a few games that had some of the same elements, but the idea of cyberpunk and fantasy mixed together as one distinct genre, it's really rare, and Shadowrun is really rare. Now, the one good thing that that this game has over Shadowrun is Shadowrun is absolutely famous for being a game that has an almost peerless world. It has a really exciting, wonderful, unique world. And it is also famous for being one of the worst rule sets in the industry. It has gone through 5 editions. None of those editions are significantly different than the next, in my opinion. And it uses dice pools, and it has always felt a little clunky. Now, there's a ton of people who are like, hey, it's okay, I'm more than willing to deal with this clunky rule set to get a world that's cool. And I was in that boat for a long time as well. Nowadays when I run Shadowrun, I use the Cipher system to do it. I love that world, but those rules really are very old, and there are actually 6 distinct editions of Shadowrun, none of which are really have really delivered a strong rule set, in my opinion. So the idea that Entromancy comes out directly to compete with Shadowrun is really, really interesting. What is the rule system for Entromancy? And Entromancy's rule set is a modified 5e rule system, right? So it has a D20 feel. It has a 5e feel. It's not a conversion for 5e. It's just saying, it's a rule system that's saying, if you've played Dungeons & Dragons 5e, you're going to be comfortable in this game. You definitely will have to learn some different rules, and it is its own unique freestanding rule system, but it is highly influenced by 5th edition. So, Entromancy is a really, really interesting addition to the body of tabletop role-playing games exist, and it absolutely is the very best new freestanding tabletop role-playing game that was published in the second week of May 2019. Let me know if you played Entromancy. Let me know if you've your take on Shadowrun, and is that world worth actually playing in the rules that it's been written with 6 different times? I'd love to hear your take on that. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.